Good morning, dear students. I'm GMOs Egamberdiyeva and I'm a teacher in the Department of Foreign Languages. Today, our new theme is about genetically modified organism, or GMO, genetically modified organism. What is a GMO, genetically modified organism? A genetically modified organism is one whose genetic material has been altered using genetic engineering. Genetically modified organisms, or GMOs, and are commonly used in foods and medicines. This has led to concern about the dangers they might cause to the environment and to human health. And how to eliminate it? By eliminating, modifying, or adding copies of specific genes often from other organisms through modern molecular biology techniques. There are two most common types of GM, and they are foods, canola, soya bean, and golden rice corn, and aspartame. And so medicines, insulin, hormones, and vaccine. Foods GMO. Crops are modified so when farmers kill weeds with herbicide, the crops can withstand the exposure to the herbicide, killing the weeds and not the crop. Also, it's not as common some types of GMO and are modified to increase their nutrient content. Corn and soybeans are two examples of crops that have higher nutrient GMO versions available. And what is medicine GMO? And genetically modified medicines can be produced cheaper and easier. And also some GMO are insulin, steroid, and hormones, and hepatitis B and vaccine, insulin being the oldest. And other types of GMO, plants and crops, microbes, mammals, insects, aquatic life. GMO history. The first GMO created in 1973, and after years of testing and research, GMO were introduced to farmers. In the 1990s, genetically modified foods became available in stores. In 1978, genetics became the first to synthesize insulin. Later, they created a human growth hormone, which was used to enable dwarf children to grow to a normal size. Genetics humulin is the first consumer product developed through modern bioengineering. In 1982, the Monsanto was introduced the bovine growth hormone used in cows to increase milk production. And also they were among the first to genetically modify a plant cell in 1983. In 1992, your Colgan's flower sour tomato is approved for a commercial production by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. This was genetically engineered to remain firm for a longer period of time. And this declared that genetically engineered foods are not dangerous and don't require special regulation. It also history of genetical engineering 2012. And today the soybeans has 93% of soybeans planted in the USA and are genetically modified. Soybeans are used in products such as animal feed, pre-packaged meals, and the oil is used in many industrial applications. And also corn, 80-60% of corn planted in the USA falls under the category of a GMO. Maize is the most widely grown grain crop in the Americas. It's used to make sugar substitutes such as high fructose corn syrup. A large quantity of processed foods contain corn, and it also used to make ethanol and biofuel that is mixed with gasoline to decrease the amount of pollutants and pollutants emitted by metal vehicles. And tomorrow's various products including vaccines, vitamin and enrichments, hormones that result in faster maturations and disease resistance. It only time can tell if the risks involved in using GMO will outweigh the benefits. And for examples of the potential benefits and risks of GM. The advantage and disadvantage. Advantage has it contains vitamin A, and so children in developing countries won't become blind. And disadvantage has poor countries become dependent on rich countries, which have the techniques for engineering. And also, when we talk about the sweet corn has advantage and disadvantage. Advantage, no longer use of insecticides. The farmer don't need to deal with toxic. And disadvantage, insects can become resistant to the poison. Endangered butterflies are in bigger threat. And long-lasting tomatoes. Long-lasting tomatoes has advantage and disadvantage, and GMO tomatoes can remain fresh longer. GM tomatoes can tolerate a lengthier transport time. Disadvantage, tomatoes are resistant to antibiotics. What are people's concerns? Is this food safe? Should food be labeled? Are there adverse environmental effects? And also patenting of seeds, discrimination against the poor, who benefits? All of these concerns apply to food and agriculture in general to answer about this. And genetic modification of conventional crops, 31% of corn, 83% of cotton, 89% of soybeans, and 80% of canola. Other crops rice, tomatoes, potatoes, Hawaiian papaya, and chicory, crockneck, and squash. Advantages. All the vegetables reduce use of pesticide and other toxic chemicals. Desired characteristics of food are achieved and in a shorter time. Improves nutritional value. And although many people rely on GM food for medicines, genetic technologies is the best solution to the problem of our hunger. Environmental hazards from pesticides, such as substantial health impacts on workers and loss of insects biodiversity in agro system, and creation of secondary pests, creation of insect races, resistance to pesticides. Genetics is always better than chemicals, and GM cotton with Bacillus thuringiensis cry gene is resistant to cotton bollworm, cry encodes an insectional protein. All GM foods have been extensively tested and they are as safe as other foods in the marketplace. GM crops can be made into conventions and junk food just like organic crops and other crops. Nutrition depends on the food, not the method of crop breeding. Disadvantages. Foods unacceptable to some groups to copy genes and interfere in food chain, and genetically engineered animals may suffer more health problems and also allergic reactions, and last, genetic pollution. Agriculture is the main cause of environmental change degradation. So, students, that's all. Thank you for your attention. See you soon next lessons.